Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Herd Fit Podcast with Dr. Sam Marie and myself, Coach David Syvertson. This podcast is aimed at helping anyone and everyone looking to enhance their healthy lifestyle through fitness, nutrition, and most importantly, mindset. All right, welcome back to the Herd Fit Podcast. I am Coach David Syvertson. I am here with my co-host, Dr. and Coach Sam Marie. And we have a very special guest, a guest that a lot of people, if you're listening, not watching, you're going to hear that voice, you know exactly who it is. You're going to have a lot of the, oh, miss that guy comments. And it is Noah Busker. Noah, what's up, my man? Thank you for joining.
Everybody. Hey, guys. So thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Great broadcasting voice, by the way. If you ever want to give podcasting a go, that voice just carries very well. Great broadcasting voice. Noah has him and I actually go further back than I think he even realizes. I used to go shopping for GNC for all my workout supplements, my steroids, aka pre-workout, a little bit of protein here and there. And Noah was the guy behind the desk. And we got into a lot of conversations back and forth. Noah's a very approachable guy, smart guy, knew a lot about supplements, and he knew a little bit about CrossFit. Every now and then we'd have some discussions. And through a few different connections, we ended up back together. He became a member at CrossFit Bison through a member there and spent not enough time with us. He moved away and we were really upset. We see a lot of people come and go over the years. And when someone that really kind of buys into Bison and Bison buys into them and had that awesome relationship, it's really upsetting for us to see them move away. And Noah was one of those guys, but really wanted to have him come back on because I had a really interesting conversation with him prior to when he left about what CrossFit and Bison in particular did for him. And I think it's something that is important for a lot of people to hear because I believe a lot of people have the same story as you. Everyone's got their own unique little thing, but I think it's good to hear kind of reaffirm that this is more than a workout. Bison's more than just a gym. It's community people that lift each other up. And so really excited to hear that story. Sam, how often did you coach Noah over the year and a half to 2 years that he was with us?
I remember coaching him a couple times, and we'll talk about it. But there were a couple of things that were really stood out in my mind about Noah and who he was and what coaching him was like, which was pretty awesome.
Now, Noah, let's give us a little bit of background. For those that don't know you or didn't get to know you that much, just basically work on different times, like just where you grew up, your background with sports, fitness, all that good stuff, just so we can kind of paint the picture of what you ended up being today.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Well, appreciate the intro. But yeah, I'm originally from Jersey, but kind of lived all over the place. Originally, grew up in Oakland, New Jersey, but I spent a little time in Pella, Iowa, and Colorado, and found myself back there after graduate school or undergrad back in Oakland. I've always been in some kind of sport at any one time. High school was track and field, did the 400 hurdle. College did that for a little bit, then did a little bit of rugby for a period of time. And then after college, it was back to, bro science, if you will. It was, chest day, leg day, pretty simple stuff like that, which then kind of I slowly burned into thinking about what else was out there in terms of fitness. And that meant not just CrossFit, but got into Spartan races. That was a big part of it. 2016, 2017, that really took off and running those every other weekend. But my mother always said, if I was ever upset, I needed one of three things. I either needed to eat, I needed to sleep, or I needed to work out. And so it's always been a part of what I've been doing.
Yeah, that's where a lot of us are. I think I'm still in that mood today. If I'm not in a good mood, I either got to go to the gym, I got to get some food in me, or go to bed. That's a great way of putting it. Mom always knows best.
Mom knows best.
The desire for the Spartan race. Sam, have you ever done a Spartan race? Because right now I'm trying to compare Spartan race to this high rocks craze right now, where you see it, you're like, what is that? You eventually put your foot in the water, and you're like, oh, this is. I get it. I get why this is kind of almost addictive and something that. The quote word Schroning, you always have to have something to train for. Sam, did you ever dabble with those back in the day?
I never did, but I know so many people who did. And I think it's just like everything else. You want some goal to train for. And it's too bad they fell out of favor. I guess High Rocks is now the thing, but that was the most popular thing back then.
Yeah, I did too, I believe. And they were they were something. I mean, you're running uphill forever. And if you talk about being dangerous, I mean, that stuff was in a cool way. I mean, just running. I mean, I saw so many people take spills and getting trapped underwater. Tough Mudder was a competitor to them that one. That always gave me a little bit of a scare, jumping off a thing into water and people jumping on top of you. But to me, that was during the craze of the growth of CrossFit, with how popular things were getting, where you were doing really hard things together. And I think that's what Spartan Race did well. I think that's what High Rocks and CrossFit both do well. As much as we want to ban these things against each other, they are the same. And I know they don't want to hear it, but it's really trying to get people to come together to work out instead of being by yourself. Now, let's blend this into, so that was pre-COVID. During COVID, tell us a little bit about your life during COVID, because it wasn't all negative for you. And I kind of want to hear, we touched on it a little bit before we started recording, but let's kind of tell that story again.
Yeah. So when 2020 came around, I was already enrolled in grad school in Switzerland. And so when the pandemic first came, there was this question, was it going to happen? But, this was for September or so that year. So things kind of relaxed for a second. And I got the green light from the embassy, like, hey, you're off. And that really became an incredible experience. But especially as David, you knew, I was kind of just working GNCs in Oakland. And the opportunity, I told myself, like, I need bigger. I need to work for something. And grad school in Switzerland became that. And finally got to go, got into classes, was learning French. And then I was working for a startup a little bit after that. And this morphed into probably one of the best times of my life. I felt like I was doing it, right? Life had finally kind of had momentum, and here we go. But that kind of, it didn't end the way I thought it was. The startup that I was working for just couldn't support me and keep me around in the country. And I just poured everything into doing that. And then I think 2022 rolls around. I got to roll back to the United States, and effectively just with nothing. Like I had spent every penny I had to make it work. And I was out of shape, overweight. I was unemployed, no money. And I was just back with my parents. And I thought, what in the world had I just done? Like, it was pretty devastating. And my mental state was just at an absolute rock bottom, of which then it just kind of became a very slow roll back up to get back on my feet. Yeah.
I mean, and I remember going to that GNC after you had left, and we didn't know each other. No, I was like, oh, you got a different job. You went somewhere else. And I remember it's funny how Bison can bring people back together from almost like a previous walk of life, or it just connects you. There's so many different connections there, because it's such a wide encompassing community that, you talk to enough people, mutual people, friend of a friend. And one of our friends, Danny, Bauman, that was your connection to Bison a couple of different times. You came once.
I did, right?
Yeah. Way back. And then you came back years later. Can you explain what brought you there initially, and what caused you to maybe not kind of drink the Kool-Aid initially, but come back to it eventually?
Yeah, of course. So when I first came in, this was surrounded a lot of interest I had deep down for CrossFit. It was, the documentary series on Netflix or so that were going. Those were so fun to watch and so entertaining. I was, doing WOD books at the back of my gym and just trying to get CrossFit done on my own. Biggest thing was, everyone, if you work at GNC, you're not making money. And CrossFit's an expensive hobby. And I just felt like, that was just the biggest sacrifice at the time. And I couldn't bite that bullet. But I knew that, I told myself that'll be later on, and that'd be later on. And it wasn't, until I got back around, kind of years later, and I'm trying to get back on my feet, but I'm like, man, I need people. I need to get back into it. I'm like, it was like a light bulb hit me. It's like, oh, I can do that now. And then bing, Bison, go. By the way, David, I still remember you bought C4 Ultimate consistently. David goes and he brings the big bottle of the black C4. That's it.
Still waiting for my sponsorship. Because I'm pretty sure I've invested about $2,000 into that company. So yeah, and that's a sticking point for a lot of people. We actually just got done talking to someone last week, because it's always interesting hearing when people are interested in the gym. You always like to kind of get their story a little bit without being too intrusive. And the money comes up. It does come up often. And it's really hard. Again, we've just got done talking about business on the podcast a few weeks ago and having to blend trying to make money, but also trying to keep this very affordable and community centered. But what you said one thing back then that I remember that I thought we were going to see you again. And you said that you used to have a workout crew. You used to have like workout buddies. Yeah. And at some point, for whatever reason, that kind of dissipated, kind of disappeared. You started to lose out on that. And I remember thinking, man, like that's what this place is. Like if that's something that really gets you going and keeps you motivated and you want to be a part of it, both as a taker and a giver, a quality CrossFit gym is like, that's where you got to be. Was that something other than the money that really kind of pulled you back?
Oh, absolutely. My buddies that I was working out with before, we all, as we all got a little bit older, we all kind of really got in a position where we could pursue the types of fitness that we really were interested in. Versus when you're younger, all you're really able to afford or really go to is like a 24-hour fitness Globo gym.
Yep.
But now as you're older, everyone's able to put money into the hobbies and the sports that you're really wanting and passionate about. And so, some guys, they go off and they do, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Some guys are big into hiking and they're doing outdoorsy stuff. And for me, I was like, I just knew it had to be CrossFit, or it had to be that kind of, and going to a gym that allows you to just be with those people so easily, there was no effort. Really.
Yeah. So when you came back to Bison that second time, what was it like being the new guy at Bison? Because I kind of want to start making this back into, all right, let's get into what it was like here at Bison and kind of what that did for you. And I'll touch on what you did for us and Sam will as well. But what was it like being the new guy at a gym like Bison?
Oh, buddy.
Don't hold back.
So, I can remember, not only emailing you saying like, I want to try this out, but also, Bison was on the way back from work. And I remember I saw the exit coming up and feeling that very urge of like, I could just drive right on by. No one would know. And my life would go on. And I just felt my body like, no, we're doing this. And just forcing it to take that exit and to come in. And, nervous as all hell. It was a running workout, first workout. And it's like the 5:30 class or so is going out the door. And there's Liz just at the top, just like, yelling at people, like going through. And I'm just like, hi, I'm here for a class. And she just big personality, like, oh, great, welcome, come on in. I put my bag down, grabbed a bike right next to Mike, who was in the back. And I just kind of like, hey, how long have you been here? And he was super welcoming and nice. And I just felt like, I didn't feel that intimidated until the workout started.
Yeah.
And then that's where like, you have to face reality with CrossFit a little bit. Like it's going to make you feel like, oh, I'm at that kind of fitness level. And it's like, oh boy, here's the journey that we're about to start. But as I'm finishing up that very first workout, and I've gone just from like anxiety and fear to like, oh my gosh, people, it doesn't mean. And now I remember doing these single jump rope and thinking, oh my gosh, they're kicking my butt. Like I can't believe jump rope is doing me in. And yet I've got people at that 6:15, 6:30 class just around me, like, come on, Noah. And I was like, I can't believe this is real. I'm the new fat guy in the side. And I'm getting cheered on to do jump rope. What? And immediately, like, it's such an amazing feeling. And when you continue on to do other CrossFit classes, both at Bison and elsewhere, and you can be in that environment for the same way to others, to like encourage them, and you can see them push through and I feel that reward. There's nothing like it. Yeah. So it was such a roller coaster of a workout, but one I'll never forget.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, those first workouts are special. Sam, let's talk about this from this angle, this situation from a coach perspective, right? Like you coach classes at Bison, and Sam primarily has coached some of the busier classes our gym sees, the early morning and Saturdays. But he's been at nighttime, he's been in the midday for a while. But no matter what, he has had new people in his classes. Sam, can you touch on briefly, like if you were coaching tomorrow morning and you had a new person in class, what goes through your head from that side of it? When they're coming in, it's not the easiest place to start off at, but what can you do as a coach to try to ease them in? And what is your responsibility in that kind of situation?
Well, I think a lot of it is you're really looking at that person. So I think Noah's right. You try to make it as welcoming as possible, but like when people come in, it's a little bit of a self-reflection on that person. So I mean, it's not like I want to brag or anything, but let's face it, there are a lot of very good athletes at most of these classes. And what a new person sees when they come in can be a little bit intimidating. So, and we've heard this time and time again, like Hawkinson said that the first time he came in, he's like, oh my God, these girls are kicking my ass and they're lifting more weight faster and I am completely destroyed. And so it's a little bit of a litmus test when you see a new person, like how do they respond to the fact that, you know, they're sort of getting a little bit of an ego crush on something. And that sort of can help you determine, is this person ready for this, or maybe they're not. And I remember seeing Noah a couple times, and he is a big guy. You're a big guy. You look athletic, and when I see big guys who look athletic and they come in, but they don't necessarily have the Oli lifting experience or any of the CrossFit sort of background, I kind of look at them because they might not find this very fulfilling. If they were a high level person somewhere else in another endeavor, or they're used to being, you know, one of the better athletes in a group, and then suddenly they're in this place and they have to learn all these new skill sets, it's very challenging. And I have seen time and time again, some people just can't handle it, which is not, it's totally fine. I mean, listen, this is not the only conditioning or you know, athletic endeavor you have to do, but when I saw Noah, I remember very distinctly, we were doing a clean workout, and you know, you're strong, like you could easily lift a fair amount of weight, and you were doing 95 pounds, and the technique on the cleans, like, it's just like, you know how when you first learn, you kind of like, instead of kind of dropping your hips and coming down and into a power you know, receiving position, it was more like a, you know, that straight leg, like straight back, kind of leaning back kind of situation, right? Like a sort of a bad muscle clean. And I was sort of talking to you and like, you know, let's get the hips back, let's drop into position, let's not see that stiff back. And you were very coachable. Like, here's this guy who's like 150 pounds, like, and 5-6 inches smaller than you, telling you to do these things, and you're listening, you're working through it, you took instruction, you got better, like literally within that workout you got better, which is pretty unusual actually when you're talking to people. And I was like, wait a second, this guy's got something here that I don't necessarily see in a lot of people. And I was like, coachability is amazing. And I was like, damn, okay, let's work with this guy. This guy's got something.
Yeah, I agree with you, Sam. I think I coached Noah's second class, or I might have worked out with him in his second class. Because I remember, you know, a lot of our coaches, we talk about new people. How'd this go? How did he like it? Did he hate it? Did he love it? And you were really receptive early on. And I think that's really important for someone that's even somewhat new to CrossFit. Bison, Outlast is, you know, we throw the word coachable around very often. And I do think it gets taken too lightly by a lot of athletes. And coachability can go into a lot of different buckets, but you kind of, it's like when you coach for a long time, like Sam and I have, you kind of know it when you see it. Yeah. And you can kind of diagnose either someone that's excellent there or a shortcoming there within probably 5 to 10 minutes. And of course, like anything, it can get better or worse. But I think early on, you fit like a glove because you were very respectful to the coaches. You were humble about going light and getting the form. And I also think, and I want you to touch on this, Oa, was there genuine fear about getting hurt? Because you were on the outside of CrossFit, but you knew about CrossFit for years. And normally, from my experience, people that are in that camp have 90% of what they read about it was that it's dangerous, you're going to get hurt, and you're screwed if you keep doing it. Did you have fear of getting hurt when you started?
No, because you know what? First of all, I dare anyone that's worried about doing kipping pull-ups to actually just do some pull-ups. You know? Like you're not gonna get hurt doing that, you know, or do some negatives. You know, most people, I think that's their concern. It's like you're not even there yet. Like just do some regular kipping, you know, work. Like start. But no, and I think, first of all, I think Bison did a great job of introducing scaling to a way that was both challenging but appropriate. And every coach session, it was you, Sam, or David, or whoever, it was always great to just ask, like, hey, I'm not going to be able to do that, but what do you think is going to be the right path to put me on? And consistently that always kind of came up, and I always got, good work from that. And kind of going back to, being coachable, I think it's important to recognize, like, you get to do CrossFit. Whether, Sam, you're helping me correct form, or, whether it's just trying to learn wall walks or whatever it might be, I have a little voice in the back of my head, a little meme of I get to be here. I get to do CrossFit now. And that's so exciting. I like to view it as there's a little Incredibles meme that plays in the back of my head. I don't know if you remember from the first Incredibles movie, where there's a little car at the very end, it like blows up after Mr. Incredible does something. He goes like, "That was totally wicked." That plays in my head, like actually plays in my head when like I'm in the middle of doing a million, wall balls and my legs are burning. But I tell myself that was wicked, because it helps remind me, like, hey, I get to do. I'm a CrossFit athlete. Like, I'm in this.
Yeah.
It's just that open mindset to doing it, I think, just means every word that comes your way, or at least came my way, was well receptive, because like, oh, you're going to help me get better. Well, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, and you went head first, like you really went all in on this just from a consistency perspective. I remember when we started throwing out a desire for people to judge the Bison Brawl, you were like a month or two into CrossFit and you're like, I'm in. Yeah. And you were one of the first people to sign up for the Open, your first Open. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit, but what were some of the changes that you initially saw when you started coming consistently? Was it increased confidence in the lifts? Was it body based, fitness based? Like, what were some of the changes that made you want to come back and stick with it?
Yeah. So early on, I did lose a bit amount of weight. By the way, shout out to Sam.
Yeah.
You were like one of the first people in the gym to be like, hey, you like lost some weight. And that meant everything to me. I'll never forget it. We were literally at like the front two stations of the gym, and you came up to me after work. I was like, you're looking good. And I like was like, oh, thank you. But internally I was screaming. I was like,
that's wicked.
And that just was great. But one of the first things was, that little bit of lost weight. And for me, it was like I carried a bit of weight around my stomach. And when I first started, like, if I bent down all the way just to tie my shoes, I could feel that lack of oxygen pushing on. Like being able to, it was a couple months after I was like leaning down, tying my shoes, and like, oh, I can breathe. Like, amazing. This works.
That's awesome.
And then a lot of it is just general movements and confidence and strength. And it's the little things, I remember when I made an attempt to jerk 135 above my head, and I failed the lift. And I started seeing stars in the eyes. Only by the time we were doing Brian's weightlifting class, 175, 185 in the clean and jerk. And I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And it was those little moments where, because it's all, you're thinking back to when you couldn't do it only later. It's like, wow, that was fantastic. And then last like month before I was at Bison, like wall walks clicked and getting my hands all the way to the line. Like I was like, that was amazing. So the little, like, whether it's a little bit of everything, you don't notice all of it in one giant leap, but you kind of look back and think, oh, wow, I did that. And then it's just by that basic consistency. It's kind of hard to necessarily say, but you see it over at least a year more.
Yeah.
When you look back. Actually, David, when you when I started, I actually just went hunting in the Herd Fit podcast and trying to find like beginner stuff.
Yeah.
And also, the one big thing that really helped at that time, you said write things down, start documenting. That was huge, because then it made attacking workouts were more consistent, and that was a big part.
Yeah, I think the terminology is really tough to. I vividly remember being at work when I started CrossFit, and instead of working, I was trying to Google like all these movements that were in today's workout. There's so much terminology that you need to learn and understand, and then apply it to yourself over time. And like you said, it takes a year. I do think it takes a year to get even somewhat comfortable with everything that we do. But a deeper level, and I want you to touch on this, is our coaches, the programming, when it comes to attacking something with intention, how much of a difference that makes, whether it's a paragraph about the workout, which sometimes, I'll be honest with you, I wish I could write more, but I just don't think people would read it. But like how much of a difference does it make it for you? It doesn't have to be lifting up all the coaches. It could be like how, when you attacked your workouts, you went in with attention. Maybe you got some aid from the paragraph or from the coaches at the whiteboard, or even some of the other athletes at the gym, because you were part of that 615 class, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a fun group, and they're fun, but they get after it, and they try hard, and they have goals. How much does that do for you, rather than just working out, like really going in with intention?
It's everything. Not naming names. After I left Bison, I had to go out CrossFit shopping and go into other gyms, and just kind of seeing how a lot of other gyms did it. And Bison does a really good job of, not only is there that paragraph, but when you start that class, everyone's sitting down, everyone's listening, and pretty much every coach is explaining, here's what we're going to do, and here's all the movements. Here's a great breakdown of all of that. Here's the full warm up, the extent of that. That's where a lot of, I think, confidence can come from, is you're properly warmed up, you're properly ready for the workout, and that's how I'm here to lock in and I'm here to go.
Yeah.
If you're feeling nervous, like, tell the coach, because you should have ultimate freedom to pursue that workout to the best of your ability, and you're going to feel the most amount of reward when you do. Don't hold back, or don't sit in the corner and think, I'll just do a little piece of this or a little piece of that, or I'm gonna skip some reps or whatever it is. Like, you're just going to hurt yourself on that one. Tell the coach, make the adjustment, and the confidence when the coach is reflects on you, right? When the coach is so easily able to say, we'll modify an XYZ, and you feel like it's now really something that it's doable, and because it's now doable, you can get after it. It's everything, is understanding the why.
Yeah. Now, so a lot of that stuff is the physical part of it. What can you kind of touch on? Did CrossFit, did Bison, did the class, did the community, did it do much for you, like psychologically, emotionally, or did it not really go in that direction? I know it's all encompassing. Someone compliments you and it makes you happy, but that's one kind of like key to the sauce with CrossFit in general, that what it can do for someone mentally with their confidence and just something to pursue every day beyond the grind. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the 615 or so class, those guys get together all the time. They're every day. Then they're getting after it to an extent that you can see them grow, and you can see the friendship that they all have. And when you were kind of going week to week and month to month, you get an idea of where their performance is at, and you can see when they're pushing, and you can see when someone's like working on that muscle up and working on a new heavy weight. And finally seeing them over the time where they are actually hitting that limit, it makes you feel like, that's amazing. And once you want to cheer for them, right? And so it's not necessarily like showing up like, if you were to skip around times, it's kind of like finding your routine. And then when you do that, you invest in the people around you. And you'll do that naturally, I think. I think that once you start consistently showing up, you see the other people. I think Bison's setup of how the gym operates does a really good job of putting people around. So you have to mix, and you'll get to know the names of everyone really quickly, because especially when they're on a board. So you're like, what was your name again? That's a huge help. But it makes you invest in the people around you. And without that, it's then it's another fitness class. But when you're consistently saying, hey, Mark, or, hey, Andrew, or whoever,
true,
man, you don't just like, I need to work out. It's like, I get to see these people. I get to say hi to my friends, or like, when they go away for vacation, they come back like, hey, how was it? You become invested. And you're invested in all people of all levels. So not just like, you're not looking at the person in the gym who's like maybe your age or, your similar fitness level, but everyone you have an investment into, and that feels really special.
Yes. Sam, do you have an opinion on that from that coach perspective of, it's our job to invest in them. Like that's what our coaches get paid to do. That's what we talk about. That's what we train to do. But to me, we've talked a lot on this podcast about what makes a good coach. What do we look for in a good coach or in a potential coach down the road? And it does come from like that outward facing, what can I do to help other people? And when you talk about a Noah guy, and the fact that he notices like that, to me, like never even talked to Noah about this in the past, but that is like a coaching type mantra, which he's talking about. Can you kind of touch on what we look for in a coach and what you think a good coach is? You dropped in a lot of gyms, and I'm sure you've seen good, bad, ugly. never at Bison on the latter side, but how much that really impacts the gym itself, and then how much that actually makes others want to pay it forward.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is people like Noah that make coaching worthwhile. No, there are a lot of different people at the gym, our OGs, the people who've been there a long time. But, I will say that just listening to Noah right now and sort of thinking about what his journey for the time he was at Bison, it really sort of spurred me on, because as someone who goes into workouts, and I was like, hearing you say that is freaking awesome, like that kid from The Incredibles, is like that kind of emotion that as a coach I get really excited about.
Same.
But also as a fellow athlete, I'm like, that open-mindedness, the ability. I remember so clearly, it was one of the open workouts, and you were like, do I go RX? Do I go scaled? And it was your first open, and you're like, you know what? And there's no wrong answer. Like, I've had people who have told me, you know what, I'm going to go RX, just see what I can do. But Noah, you said, you know what, I'm going to go scaled because I can go way more intense. I can do way more reps. I can get more out of it for myself in terms of really pushing the intensity on this if I go scaled on that. And I said, great. And you killed it. It wasn't about getting an RX next to your name. It was about what the intensity was that you could bring. And, talking to you now and thinking about those things, it really sort of makes me feel like, as a coach and as an athlete, I need to bring that freshness, that open-minded perspective, and really giving that thought to, that open, just being open. Because I remember today, and you know what you reminded me of when you were talking about, I was talking about coaching you on the cleans. I was thinking about Monday, Liz coached the morning class, and she hasn't coached me in a while, because, I usually come mornings, and she covered. And I was doing shoulder to overheads. And she comes in the middle of the workout and says, hey, listen, if you extend your hips a little bit more, that might make it a little bit easier, because you're kind of crouching a little bit before you get to that overhead. And I was like, what? Like,
I'm a coach.
I'm cycling 135 here. Like, I mean, this is pretty, like, I'm like, wait a second. Thank you, Liz.
Yeah.
Like, and listening to you now, I'm like, boy, like, what, this is a kind of thing that no matter what level you are, how long you've been doing it, being that person that Noah is and was, is really, really important. And that's the kind of lesson that I'm taking away when I'm listening to you now is it doesn't matter if you started last week, last year, 10 years ago, like, that same attitude is what I need to embody more of on a daily basis.
Yeah, no, those are great words, and that's why I always say, like, whether it's at the open or the holiday party, it's like we all kind of feed each other. Like, I think coaches can feed off athletes in some cases more than they feed off the coaches, and I mean that it happens. I've been in that scenario myself, and just staying curious. I think that's kind of like a Rafi thing, Sam. Just like staying curious and always trying to almost take a mindset of a newer member like Noah and applying it to yourself. And I would challenge a lot of veteran CrossFitters to do this, especially with the open coming up. We can actually now say that it's about a month or two around the corner. We're going to touch on that to wrap this up. But when you've done the open 8 times, and to quote a gym owner that I was on a call with, I think last year, one of the oldest CrossFit gyms in the world, he's like, why do I have to do the open for the 14th year in a row and learn that I suck at double unders? It's like, he's like, why do I keep needing to do that every single year? And I remember just having a disconnect there with, like, it's not always about you. It doesn't have to be about your double unders. And I want to challenge some veteran CrossFitters that are kind of heading in that direction, where they're kind of getting sick of the same thing of not being good, or this kind of hurts and I can't do that. I'm limited here. Get around someone that's new. get around someone that has only done the open once or twice, and they have a goal this year, that the person that you used to be as a CrossFitter, or find that person that's never done it before, put your arm around them, and maybe approach the open from a different mindset where, like, hey, maybe you don't rank in the gym where you used to. No one really cares anymore. There's an opportunity for you, for a guy to put your arm around a guy like Noah and kind of guide him through the open, and let him go drink that secret sauce that you got to drink years ago. Because I think Noah, I'm looking at it from last year, I want to confirm this is right. We do the Beast Awards. We have all of our coaches vote on awards at the gym. We have Spirit Award, the Steve Rice Spirit Award. We have Rookies of the Year, Most Improved, and the Comeback of the Year. And Noah he came in second place for Rookie of the Year, behind Yaya Gusfa. Those kids are just winning every year. But it was tight. You were just a few points behind. We have this whole scoring system. And I remember tallying this together. I'm like, Noah's going to win this thing. And then a couple late votes came in. But the open, Noah, it's appropriate to talk about it now because we're just a couple months away from it. Yeah. And I don't know if you're going to do it this year or not at Empire, or yes or no.
I'll do it at Empire. Sorry.
Yeah. You would be doing it at Empire State CrossFit, but can you did that change? Did that expose anything new to you about CrossFit? Or are you glad you did it? Because you did really, you performed at a really high level last year.
I appreciate that. I thought the other way around. I loved it because I thought it was at the bottom. Like I think it was, I don't know if it was like bottom, like lowest, like of 80th percentile, all the way down. And I was like, I can't believe that's where I'm at. But that to me gives me the mountain to climb.
Yep.
And I'm going to climb it. And I'm so excited to climb it.
Nice.
But I've got a lot to work on. So right now it's all about my engine, the cardiovascular side of it. I've been diving into the early, the L1 work for CrossFit. Try to work on, a lot of the other elements, not just straight up strength.
Good for you.
So we're tackling the open a little bit differently this year, more targeted than just simply like show up and keep pushing, but very much strategically, thinking more about it in the kitchen. But 100%.
That's awesome. Yeah. Good, man. Yeah. So let's wrap this up with what does the future hold for you? Just, as when it comes to like your relationship with CrossFit and your goals. We just talked about the open, but where do you take this from here?
Yeah, I mean, thanks to Bison, I've discovered this immense love of CrossFit that I get to fully be part of, and I can't say how much I appreciate all of it.
Yeah.
So next year, I'm targeting taking the L1. I want to get that on my belt already.
Awesome.
And then the long term is I actually myself not only want to be an athlete, I want to be a coach.
I
really like seeing how people can push through workouts, and I'm not sure exactly where it's going to take me, but that's the goal now. I love seeing people engage in this sport and this type of fitness, and I'm here to preach it a little bit. Like, it's fun.
Hey, no, I mean, and we did not plan this, I swear, but I mean, listening to you talk over the past 15 minutes, this is what a future really high quality CrossFit coach sounds like before they get that L1. I've done this a long time now. I've seen it. This is exactly like the tone, the things that they say, the why behind it. Sam, that's a pretty easy layup for whoever gets to have Noah work for them. If he offers someone to coach, that gym better welcome him with open arms.
Dude, you're gonna be awesome someday for sure as a coach.
So let's wrap this up with, you have 5 people in front of you that just started CrossFit within the past year. One started a year ago, one started last week. What are 1 or 2 things you would tell them just to kind of guide them through their next year of training? Like what's one thing you either would have done different, one thing you're proud of what you did, or just some last minute advice to them?
Yeah. First thing, kind of mentioned this before, record your early lifts.
Yeah.
First of all, because those early beginner gains happen so fast.
Yeah.
Being able to look at that on paper and be like, I can't believe I was that weak 2 months ago. And looking back like, oh, wow. And then the numbers just go up. And that is, you need that momentum early on to accelerate. And then also, if you're a year in, I'm still struggling with double unders. But every time there's a double under workout, I'm making sure that I show up to it.
Okay.
Target your weaknesses. Always a bit. I don't know it's more of a top thing, but like, you look at the week ahead when the workouts are posted and you're thinking to yourself like, I'm not, there's snatches or there might be wall walks, something you're not great at. Like, those are the ones you really need to be showing up for. And that's the first, and that's probably the long term for like that year out is do what you're uncomfortable with, because then you get comfortable with it, and then it just makes CrossFit that much easier. And the sucks less.
Yeah. Oh, the sucks less. Let's put that on a shirt.
I love that.
All right. Well, hey, Noah, thanks for the time on a Sunday. No, it's tough to line up schedules. And I'm really glad we were able to make this work. Sam, thanks for hopping on too, because Sam's perspective on coaching you, I think was a really big part of what people are going to get out of this episode. Just like those little stories, both from the coaching and athlete perspective of what you went through and how you got to where you are today to now taking your L1 and maybe coaching at some point. All those little points, they matter a lot. And I think there's so many touch points with someone like yourself that kind of create something big. And I think I really want to kind of stay in touch with your potential, career as a coach, and we'll be watching you on the leaderboard in 2026. Right. I'm looking forward to seeing those scores in.
Yeah, thanks. No, I wouldn't be here at all if it wasn't for the love and the community that's at Bison. It's such a special place, and it doesn't take long to see what makes it a special place. So if anyone's listening to this and they're like, maybe I want to go to Bison or just drop in, it's truly like nothing's like it.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Noah. Your check's in the mail, and we'll see you guys next week. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time out of your day to listen to the Herd Fit podcast. Be on the lookout for next week's episode.